Welcome back to the All Things Sports Podcast. I am your co-host, Small Town EP. And as the temperatures get lower, the stakes get higher. And from the looks of it, no higher for the Las Vegas Raiders, who have won their fourth game of the season. And we're celebrating in the locker room, Max Crosby and company, like they just won their Super Bowl. I'm joined by your host, June. June, you ever over celebrated something in your life or in sports before?
Last year we were in the Eastern Conference Finals. We as the Heat, and we had Boston on the ropes, Game 6 at home. We were seconds away. Jimmy put them away at the 3-point line. It was recreated, and the tip in from Derek White. I definitely over celebrated that moment, but it was nothing. It was nothing like Las Vegas smoking cigars while Max Crosby's rapping lyrics to who knows little something. But
I remember that, man. I do remember that. I do remember that. We had a jam-packed weekend, man. Uh, Full of excitement, full of games, full of results. Let's get to it, man. You know the saying, there's no crying in baseball, but apparently there is some crying in college football. Caleb Williams, another loss, a loss to Washington. Oh, yeah, another loss, a loss to Washington 52 to 42 at the crib. Post game, we saw him join his family members in an emotional moment. Been criticized this last 24 hours for his reactions, post game reactions, things like that. I've seen on
yeah,
NBC, ESPN, everywhere. What do you make of the emotion that he displayed after the loss, after the tough loss at that?
I mean, I think that was he expressed humility, right? I mean, he's a quarterback, um, and I saw a lot of back and forth on whether your quarterback should be doing that or not. I think that he's just being him, human, and expressing his emotions. And it was a tough loss. The defense over there at USC letting up 572 yards, almost 600 yards to Washington, and obviously they have a Heisman candidate over there, but that's still no excuse to let a team, run all over you like that. I remember when North Carolina put up over 500 yards on Miami, and it was like a total embarrassment. So, you can understand why he's as frustrated as he is, losing and wanting to play for the Pac-12 championship and get to the playoff. That's the goal. So like he's understanding that, time's ticking on that, and yeah, the Heisman is cool, but he wants to win actual trophy, an actual school trophy. So there's that. Last year he also lost in the Pac-12 championship. He had the "fuck Utah" painted on his nails. So I don't know. He's just kind of growing up in front of us. But it's also interesting, in my opinion, because he's a young guy, like you mentioned earlier before we talked about it. He's a college student, and at the end of the day, being 19, 20 years old, whatever the case is, this is this is still real life. So I don't make too much of it. I still want to talk about the numbers and what he was able to do, putting up, 312 yards and 3 touchdowns on that Washington defense. Um, but if we're gonna highlight the Heisman candidate quarterback over there, we got to talk about the other one in Michael Penix and his ability to throw for 256 um, and 2 touchdowns on only 8 completions. He did have an interception, but the star of the game was Dylan Johnson. I mean, he ran for 26 carries, 256 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Right, so I mean, when you run for 130 yards as a running back for USC, and then you guys have, about 70 more yards between the rest, you would think, damn, we ran all over this team. We were able to run for 203 yards. You let up 316. There's no way you win that game. So, um, end result, defensive coordinator gets fired from USC, and that's where we at.
There it is. There it is. I was actually about to mention that Alex Grinch out. 2 games left in the
Yeah,
season.
and
He's
he about
allowed
to come
100.
back and steal Christmas. Now he tight. This is the origin story. We didn't know that the Grinch was a fired USC uh, defensive coordinator turned actor.
Hey man, he allowed 101 points in the last 2 games, and I mean they allowed an average of 34 and a half points per game this season, bottom 30 in the country in almost every statistical defensive statistic aspect statistic. So I mean, you don't do your job. I mean, this is in the regular world. I know this is the regular world as well, but in the regular world of common folks, you don't do your job and you get let go. It's kind of as simple as that. What do you think?
Definitely.
But with 2 games left, you think that's a statement? You think they're kind of sending a message to the staff, to the team, like I know there's 2 games left, so it's like, can a message really be sent with this firing? Is this something that's a message
No,
for
it's
the
just
last 2 games, or
it's just what has to be done. I mean, why do it after the season when you can do it now? And hopefully, which we'll talk about a coaching change in the NFL that happened this week. Well, we actually just did with with the intro. So with that, you want to change maybe the locker room's perspective on things, or maybe the defense doesn't click with him, and clearly it wasn't working. So if you're gonna play, or mind you, you play Oregon next week, so you would hope to have a prepared team is what I'm trying to say.
Ooh, I know we talked about lack of defensive presence. I hate to talk about it, but lack of offensive presence in the second half of the Miami and North Carolina State game this week. Uh, just disappointing loss there, man. We spoke highly about how important this loss was. I mean, this game was for us this week. What do you make of this loss, and what do you think is important for the Hurricanes to close out this season in a much better way, I guess.
Well, we got FSU as hate week. Is hard to hate when you're not even doing good yourself. And there's a lot that goes into this. I think coaching goes into this. Obviously, piss poor quarterback play from a guy that has been had an up and down career here at Miami, but more ups than downs. This year just totally kind of tanked. And, for us to only put up 6 points on an NC State Wolfpack team who's also 6-3 and not score a touchdown all game, 3 interceptions from your starting quarterback the week before you go into play uh, FSU, on the road. Mark Fletcher had 23 carries for 115 yards. You know, it's sad that that just goes unnoticed because I mean, horrible throws, horrible decisions. You were seeing Tyler Van Dyke sack himself, and it's kind of sad at this point. You would hope that coaching acknowledges the effort and makes a change because I understand stakes are high as far as going into Doak Campbell and having to play a number 4 ranked FSU team, and you would want your starting guy out there. You would want who you'd say is the best out there. But right now, frankly, he's not the best quarterback or playing like it. So we got to win when Emory Williams came in, Clemson, and we dumbed it down. We didn't even throw the ball really. We ran the ball. We ran the ball and stuck to that. It's going to be tough to beat this Florida State team, honestly. And at this point, it's hate week. I'll try, you know what I'm saying? But at this point, it's a super letdown seeing that performance from Tyler Van Dyke. And I don't know how I'm going to convince myself that I can think we truly beat this team in Doak Campbell on Saturday, especially if we trot out Tyler Van Dyke again. So Mario Cristobal, it's like the ball's in your court. Are you going to make a quarterback change? Are you going to let this ride out? And, people are coming for your head right now. People are coming not for your job, but just questioning the fact that uh, how good of a actual coach you are. I'm not saying that. I think Mario Cristobal is a good coach and that, he can make the right decisions for the team. He's just, a little stubborn, a little stubborn. I'll say that. And at times, you know, he makes some weird decisions. But I'm still riding with Mario Cristobal. I don't know that I'm riding with Tyler Van Dyke right now because if we're gonna do what's best for the team, it might be a quarterback change.
I mean, we talk a lot on this show about a championship formula, and I mean, it's the the box score on this game just looks like a total anomaly. I mean, we had more first downs than them. We being the Hurricanes, of course. I don't know how many times I have to remind people of that. We had more first downs than them. We had more total yards than them. We had more passing yards than them. Obviously, we had more interceptions than them as well, which probably sealed the game. But for us to only score 3 points, 2 field goals in the first, I mean, 6 points, 2 field goals in the first half, um, and literally a field goal in the first quarter and a field goal in the second quarter, it's really just disappointing. But I mean, it's kind of almost like the Miami script almost. Um,
Yeah, yeah. And
and
that's
it sucks to say exactly. Your head shaking says it all. It sucks to say, but that's kind of the reality of it. Is as Hurricane fans, we come out and we root for this team every Saturday. Friday when we play, Bethune Cookman or something like that, and and we come out every week and root for this team. And sometimes they stand by us and they do good by us. A lot of times, we're having conversations like this.
more times than not, unfortunately. And at the end of the day, like I told myself this year, I was not going to hype myself up in the spring. I wasn't going to get hype uh, for the early parts of October. But I mean, as the season goes on, obviously what you're seeing is what you're getting. And there are moments to be proud of from this team this season. The thing is, you show me you can win overtime games, right?
Hmm.
That's closing out games and finding a way to win. But the quarterback play is what's very alarming this year. And the decision making from Tyler Van Dyke from last year and the year before that to this year have been drastic. And it seems as if we're seeing a different quarterback being out there and not the potential Heisman candidate, potential first round draft pick. Heisman candidate is a stretch, but first round draft pick.
It's
and
crazy.
and and it goes to you what you said as far as this being a script. It just feels so normal at this point that we get to this point of the season, and again we have these conversations. We can move on though.
Yeah, couldn't have said it any better myself. Move on to the NBA. James Harden making his Clippers debut tonight in Madison Square Garden, where the Clippers are point and a half under 1.5 point underdogs. I can't speak tonight. I apologize to the viewers. 1.5 point under 1.5 point underdogs. James Harden averaging 28 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds in 13 games when he's visited Madison Square Garden in his career. What do you expect to see out of this Clippers team tonight in the Big Apple?
I just saw James Harden. He was on West 4th Street picking up. No, I'm just kidding. Um, it's
Some
good to see
ice
him
cream
back.
from
Well,
Kith.
it's gonna be good to see him back tonight. I'm excited for this Clippers team. I think that they're gonna be able to figure things out. I don't know how far they'll go in the playoffs. Again, I am happy to hear Kawhi Leonard say that he wants to play all 82 games. It doesn't seem realistic by any means, but the energy seems there, and James Harden becoming a new part of this team who has played with Russell Westbrook. Um, I think they'll find a common ground and understanding, and yeah, it should be fun. The Knicks get the first test, and R.J. Barrett. It's going to be exciting to see him tonight and what he can do. Julius Randle is like on the hot seat already, 5, 6, 7 games in, whatever the case, and I'll be excited to see what they can do. I'm watching this Heat game too. It's 25-23. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo lighting it up right now, but LeBron just hit a nice little tough fadeaway. That's just a live update on a Monday night. But yeah, I'm excited for it. So
Hey man, there's about 2.5 minutes left in the first quarter. Clippers up 18-15. We got Kawhi Leonard, no points. Zubac has 3 points. Early in the game, we'll see what happens. I do think that the Clippers will possibly get their first road win today in Madison Square Garden. Uh, the Knicks could get their first home win tonight in Madison Square Garden. Julius Randle, there was a clip that surfaced from the last game. Brunson taking a tough fadeaway shot, missing. Julius walking back, not running, not jogging, not speed walking, not power walking, but just walking. Let defender fly by him, and then was upset when the defender made the shot. Just kind of crazy. Goes back to what we spoke on this pod a couple weeks ago, just the effort. Kev specifically was talking about it, the effort that this team displays. Well, not this team, but Julius Randle displays, and that's the part where the critics do have a point. You got to show more effort, bro. You're getting paid X amount of millions of dollars to do this and to play this beautiful game of basketball, and to hopefully bring a championship to the city of New York. And it doesn't let you even want to play if you don't have the ball in your hands, which, this game is filled with all stars that are running off the ball, running without the ball in their hands, making the cuts, making the screens, and it seems like you're not even really like that. And I hate to kind of get into this attitude, but
That's crazy.
you're like that before the trade deadline, and when something's at stake. But if it's a regular game, you just kind of playing pickup at the rec center, and it's disappointing, man, because New York basketball is a lot more than that. We'll move on to the Heat, man, because I know you just alluded to it. You're watching the game live right now. We did speak about the Heat last time that we potted. They were 1-4 in their first 5 games. They did win the game that night against Washington.
Yeah, they did.
Tonight,
They lit it up too.
they did. Litter than their new courts, but we'll get on that in a little bit. Um, they got a familiar foe in town today, and LeBron James, like you just said. Do the Lakers pick up their first road win against Miami tonight? Why or why not, June?
No, no. So
Oh,
we struggle, we struggle with the Lakers. Bam Adebayo struggles against Anthony Davis. It's real. Tyler Hero, first of all, Tyler Hero this season, we've seen what he's been able to do and how his game is just continuing to grow each year that he comes in and beats the trade allegations. Duncan Robinson is transcended into a different player, and the playoff run into the finals, and then this regular season, we're just seeing Duncan Robinson is more than just a shooter. He can put the ball on the floor. You can give him the ball in transition and trust that he'll make a good decision. So shout out to Duncan Robinson. Real quick, I want to say shout out to Ray and shout out to Night Shift Lou in the chat on YouTube. So back to my previous point, no, I don't think the Heat are going to lose today. We have our Heat culture court. We have our Heat culture jerseys. We have a mantra in the paint. It's faded. Like there's no way. There's no way on Heat Culture Night, night one of Heat Culture Night in Miami Heat history, we lose just because it's LeBron, just because it's Anthony Davis. You're gonna have to, convince me otherwise. What you think?
hey, one thing that we will see is a good game. I'm not sure. I couldn't call it. Both these teams. I mean, we already spoke about the Heat struggles. Um, the Lakers again 0-3 on the road this season, 3-3 so far through 6 games. I think one thing that we will see is a good game tonight. Right now, with 2 minutes left in the game, down the Heat are up by one, 28-27. Career wise, in the last 4 games that LeBron's played against the Heat since he left Cleveland, I mean, he produces. He does what he needs to do. And career wise, against the Heat, between Cleveland and Los Angeles now, he's averaging 30 points, 6.5 assists, 5.5 rebounds in 21 games. So, I mean, can
I
LeBron do it
mean,
alone?
he
We've
gonna
seen
do
time
it.
and time, and we've seen time and time before that he can't do it alone. He's been able to do it alone. He can't do it alone. This is a
Yeah,
tough Heat team. It is Heat culture night. I think that Miami Energy probably gets the best of the Lakers.
yeah. I mean, shit. LeBron beat us in the finals. I gotta respect that, but not tonight. Not tonight.
Oh man! And then there was one, June. The Boston Celtics remain the only undefeated team in the NBA thus far at 5-0. They travel to Minnesota tonight. They got Philly on Wednesday. End the week at home against Brooklyn. My question for you is, which one of these teams is most likely to hand them their first loss?
Oh shit! I just knocked my whole head off. So they got Minnesota tonight. Minnesota actually has a really good defense, man. Minnesota actually has a really good defense. Can I get a score update on that? Hold on, because before I make that decision, I would like to at least be forewarned if they're winning, by 12, or if they're losing by 12 or so. I might
It's a game
take
time. Game's
Minnesota.
about to start. 8 o'clock tip off.
Okay.
It's 8:06 right now Eastern time. So they're singing the national anthem. Hopefully, it's not Flavor
So
Flav again.
Minnesota Monday.
They go to Philly on Wednesday, and then they got the Nets at home on Friday.
I would say they lose at Philly. At Philly. They go at Philly, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that game on ESPN? You said Friday?
Nah, it's not on ESPN. No, it's Wednesday. That game is Wednesday. The
Wednesday.
Friday game
Oh,
is Brooklyn at home. That is on ESPN.
okay. Yeah, no, I got Philly. I think they'll have trouble with Joel Embiid. KP is gonna have a tough night that night. And obviously James Harden's gone. Joel Embiid is about to go MVP mode on the league. until otherwise figured out.
Yeah, man, he's still doing the Generation X celebrations that he's been fined for repeatedly. He just doesn't really care, apparently.
Yeah, he does.
I'm
He's wild. He's wild for it.
I'm gonna say none of these teams will beat Boston this week. I think that Philadelphia will be a tough run. It'll be a close game. It'll probably come down to another Joel Embiid missed 3-pointer with 2 seconds left. You know the NBA script they love to play. Friday they got Brooklyn at home. Saturday they got Toronto at home. Monday the 13th, a week from today, they get the Knicks at home, and they beat the Knicks in New York, season opener. I think that a lot of those teams will bring them to the brink, but I think that New York will probably be the one that does it. And i.e., that's from a gambling perspective, that's from a betting perspective. I could see them going undefeated until they they play the Knicks for the second time after they beat them in the season opener. Um,
Wow.
I can see them going. I can see them going 9-0, man. Before dropping 9-1 through the first 10 games of the season.
Interesting. I'll be interested to see how Boston fares out, man. It's gonna be good this season. And they got KP playing really good, but I don't know, man. I don't know. We're gonna have to let it play out. 10-0, almost damn near. Somebody gotta beat them. Come on, NBA.
Somebody got to do it. I don't think it's gonna happen tonight. Minnesota got a good defense, but they just don't have it in them. Ant-Man can drop 30 if he wants,
Yeah,
but
no, I definitely don't think Minnesota is gonna be up 12 at any point in this game. Disclaimer. It was just saying.
oh man, the Boston Celtics, like we said, they do play Timberwolves tonight, and they are 3.5 point favorites on the road in what is probably a very cold Minnesota night.
Minnesota.
We'll move on to the NFL, man. A lot of things happened this weekend, and
Lot.
we
A
talked
lot.
about a week and a half ago about players dropping the F bomb and its results that it had. George Kittle dropped the F bomb. They went 0-3. Jamar Chase dropped the F bomb. They went 3-0. All things sports here, we have our own F bomb that we drop periodically.
That was good.
And that word is fraud. We've seen some teams, specifically in the AFC East, beat up on, JV caliber NFL teams. That's what I'm going to say. That's how I'm going
Oh,
to paraphrase
dude.
it. This is Small Town EP's words, by the way. It does not reflect All Things Sports podcast thoughts as a collective. Um,
Oh, brother.
we had an exciting game with the
How?
Chiefs and the
Sorry.
and the Dolphins. You're good. The Bills went and had to face a bad man by the name of Joe Burrow again, and he showed them that with two good knees and two good ACLs, he's top two, and he would
Yep.
probably say that he's not two. I would argue differently. Who are the bigger frauds of the league so far, the Bills or the Dolphins?
Well, biggest frauds are the Titans. Anytime I get a chance to say it, I got to throw that out there. You're not going to get away just because two other teams have slipped into this. There's really four teams that are looked at, in my opinion, as fraudulent. Because fraud, short for fraudulent. Titans, Chargers, and the Chargers wear this until Brandon Staley isn't their coach anymore because I believe they can truly do so much better if they had the right coach. But Bills, Dolphins, we saw them take losses to really good teams, really great quarterbacks. And quite frankly, right now, as it stands, I think the Bills are more fraudulent than the Dolphins.
Mm.
Um, we've seen the Dolphins lose to good teams all season. There's three. I mean, there's only three of them, but or is there? Are they lost to four or three teams?
The Bills lost to 4. They are 5-4.
No, the Dolphins.
The Dolphins
Three,
are
right?
six
That
six
was
and
their
three. Yes,
third
sir.
loss. Right. So my thing is the Dolphins under this new regime and with this new talent they have, it's only been a few years. The Bills have been doing this for the last 4 to 5 almost years, where they've been competitive and been looked at as one of the top threats in the AFC, and they still are struggling. And Josh Allen is still making these errant plays, uh, and they just can't put it all together. It seems so. I have to give the Bills the more fraudulent, but that doesn't make me feel like the Dolphins are not fraudulent. They show that anytime they have some true competition, it's a struggle, and they haven't been able to close out those games, and that's what's alarming to me in that scenario. Because as great of a coach as Mike McDaniel and as explosive as an offense as they are as a whole, um, because they can run the ball, right? That's really what they do great, and they'll get A Chain back. I think if A Chain was playing, it would have really helped out. But football is the next man up, and we can't talk about who was and wasn't there. Um, they put up 0 points in the first half. They had 0 third down conversions in that same first half, and that's not gonna beat a Kansas City Chiefs team any day of the week. It could be in London, it could be in Germany, or it could be at home. Um, I also want to say that Travis Kelsey stated that this Chiefs team he's playing for is the best defense he's played against, uh, like in practice and stuff as a Chief. So that has to say something to holding the number one ranked offense to 14 points, an interception, a fumble. You know, like
And I want to talk about that fumble because when I saw that fumble happen, obviously I was ecstatic. But the other thing that went through my mind was the way that they attacked Tyreek on that specific play. It looked like a design. To me, it looked like Patrick Mahomes went to his DBs, went to his CBs, and were like, hey, when he catches the ball on the screen, a lot of times he brings it low towards the waist to pick up momentum and take off. Strip it. Pause. Just take that ball away from him. It
yeah,
looked like a design to me. It looked like something that they may or may not have practiced throughout the week. In practice, obviously,
right.
it looked very strategic to me. It didn't look like just a off chance. Oh, he fumbled the ball and we ran it back for six. It looked like we saw the screen coming and we knew what to do. I don't
Right.
know if you had the same sentiments on that
I
specific
mean,
play.
I didn't think about it. I didn't think about it as deep as that, but yeah, it's totally possible. This is a team that knows Tyreek Hill. This is the same team that Tyreek Hill said he wanted to score against, and he failed to score against. So um, it just it's. I question whether the Dolphins are going to be able to win a first round playoff game with or without home field advantage, and this is games like this are going to test you. Hey, granted, we're only halfway through the season, right? There's a lot of time to clean this up and get better and figure out ways to close things out and beat good teams in general. But these games are telling.
Hey,
As for the
I know you said
Chiefs, as for the
keep going. My
Chiefs,
fault.
their offense found a struggle in the second half after they were, Dolphins were getting to the quarterback. Patrick Mahomes was struggling, wasn't able to find, the open guy. And just I'll continue to say this. I think you guys have to address. I mean, I don't know what the options are now, being as though the trade deadline's done, but um, you know, what's going to be done at that wide receiver position where you guys can truly, threaten the league with some weapons if it doesn't necessarily come together. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean now the trade deadline's passed. I'm hoping that Andy Reid might know, have an idea of somebody he wants to draft, late in the first round this year.
Who he gonna call? Yeah,
Somebody from Midwestern Montana University. I don't know, but I'm sure he has his eye on somebody. If not, I hope it's addressed. I know you said that we're halfway through the season. If the playoffs were to start today, the Buffalo Bills would be on the outside looking in, and the New York Jets would be on the inside looking forward. All right. And just to kind of put perspective on this, playoff picture in the AFC is getting kind of spicy right now because you got the Bengals heating up, and they're only, if the playoffs were to start today, they'd be a 7 seed at 5-3, and they're heating up. I don't see them finishing the season as 7 seed. I see them more 4 or 5, maybe 6 seed by the time the season's
Right.
done. Pittsburgh and heating up as well. We spoke about the other day. They're 5-3. They would be a fifth seed right now if the playoffs were to start. Um, there's really no room for error in the AFC right now
Yeah.
as far as this playoff picture is concerned. Like I said, especially with a resurging healthy Joe Burrow, and even honestly, dog pound in Cleveland. No one's talking about it,
I
but
was gonna say,
we
there's no
probably
room for
should
error.
be.
There's no room for error in that AFC North. They're all playoff teams right now, and they're playing like it. You got to give the credit where it's due. And somebody on this podcast, by he he ain't you, it's me. Talked about the Ravens being one of the better teams coming into this season, and Lamar Jackson having some MVP like moments, and possibly even winning the trophy at the end of the season with the top 5 defense and a top 10 offense is what I predicted for this Ravens team. And everybody was getting on Monken, and and the offense wasn't getting together at the beginning of the season, but they were finding ways to win games and beating the teams they should. Look where they are now. To me, the Ravens right now can beat any team in the league. Obviously, because Lamar Jackson is 17-1 versus uh, NFC teams going into Sunday. Wins is now 18-1. So all he needs to do is get to a Super Bowl. I mean, he's gonna beat the NFC champion. Obviously, that's funny, but in the AFC, I can see Lamar Jackson and the Ravens taking down the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Dolphins, and then anybody else that thinks they can compete with them. So
And I love that you brought up the Ravens because this past game against Seattle, it's proof of that enough. Lamar Jackson
yep.
had no passing touchdowns. Nope. He even laughed about it on Instagram after the game, said that the NFL, the fantasy owners want to kill him today because he didn't have no passing
Yeah, I
touchdowns.
saw that.
I texted my boy Brandon. Shout out to my boy Brandon in the Deadbolt Locks group chat that I'm in, and he's a Seattle Seahawks fan. And he called
Huh.
after the Chiefs game ended. He was like, "Yo, a lot of mid 1 o'clock games." Around 2:30, I was like, "Hey, bro, including yours, can you stop the run, please? Like, what is going on right now?" They were just hooping, as we
Yeah.
like to say, and it's scary. That run game is absolutely scary.
Yep. It was a career day for Keaton Mitchell, 9 carries, 138 yards. And then, rookie of the year last year, Kenneth Murray, Kenneth Walker. I said Kenneth Murray, excuse me, Kenneth Walker, 9 carries for 16 yards. I mean, that's not going to cut it any day of the week. And when Geno Smith only throws for 157 yards and an interception, I mean, what are we going to do?
I know you spoke about the Chiefs, and I wanted to ask you a question about that because they've been winning in very interesting fashion, as the Chiefs typically do, but it's kind of an interestingly scary fashion this year so far. And kind of an oxymoron to what we expect from the Chiefs typically, where we're relying on defense this year. And our offense, I'm not saying it's not there, but it's not as explosive as it once was, or as we're used to, I should say. I don't want to say it once was because we can turn it on whenever we want to turn it on. But we're relying on defense a lot. Can we continue to beat good? Well, I say we because I'm a Chiefs fan. Can the Chiefs continue to beat good teams relying on this formula?
I mean, yeah, if you're playing good defense, that's what's going to win you games at the end of the day. And again, going back on what Travis Kelce uh, said this is the best defense he's played with in Kansas City. And if the year that you guys don't have the weapons you need per se, week in and week out, and you have to rely on your defense, is the year that you're the best tight end ever is telling you that, he thinks this is the best defense, whether he's gassing it or dragging it, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's giving them the confidence at the end of the day, and that's the formula this year. Spags, it's not the enemy, it's Spags this year, and so um, when you have Spags dialing it up like this, and then you can tell Mahomes to just figure things out. Uh, you're in pretty good shape. I also want to say McCole Hardman. I mean, horrible special teams play this week, and he needs to figure that out because losing yards for no reason on special teams is always gonna stink. But that stood out to me.
It happened last week against Denver as well in his first week back. It didn't look too well. We kept fielding, fair catching punts in within the 10-yard line, 5-yard line. I don't know if he
Yeah.
was just nervous being back on a championship pedigree team or not really sure what was going on. But he does definitely have to tighten up. if we want any chance at going back to back or even being able to reach the promised land again.
Yeah.
I want to bring up a familiar name. You were once a fan of him until the season started. CJ Stroud survives a shootout at home against Baker and the Bucks. You've gone on record saying at one point that you wanted him in the blue and white of the Indianapolis Colts. What would it take for the Texans to hold on to that number 2 spot in the AFC South moving forward for the rest of the season, Jim?
Keep it going, man. Keep it going. Honestly, like my thing is, my thing is, I knew he was going to be good. There's always going to be that he's an Ohio State quarterback. You know what I'm saying? He's an Ohio State quarterback, and then you saw it with Justin Fields. You can go back, but he when you look at CJ Stroud and the throws he makes and you actually watch his tape, it's not just a product of Ryan Day's offense, and just because he has Jackson Smith and Jigba, Chris Olave, you know, um, he Marvin Harrison Jr. for that matter. He's just an amazing natural thrower. So he has the placement, he has the touch, and arm strength. He's also tall. He's 6'4", 6'5". He's not as athletic as you maybe want him to be, quote unquote. But when you're completing over 70% of your passes, right, for 470 yards, 5 touchdowns on 147 passer rating, you don't have to be more athletic than he is. Um, to be doing this with Tank Dell, rookie, you know what I mean? Uh, John Mechie, guys like that, Dalton Schultz, it just shows who Stroud is and what he is going to be in this league. And you know, I'm excited for it. Like record setting day, bro. Like nobody has had that 5 touchdown, 470 yard, 147 uh QBR as a rookie. No interceptions, and he's thrown what 14 touchdowns and one interception on the year. You got to give credit where it's due. And yes, I did want CJ Stroud to be drafted to the Colts because I knew he was going to come into the league and light it up. I didn't think he was going to doing this, but he's a great quarterback. He's a great quarterback. I'm extremely happy with who we got, Anthony Richardson, and I guess we can kind of talk about the Colts now because I miss him. I'll say that I do miss him, but he'll be here next year. We'll have another first round pick. You know what I mean? That'll add to, you know, to his weaponry, hopefully. But man, before I get into the disappointing offensive performance from the Colts, I do want to spotlight Kenny Moore. He sets a Colts franchise record with 2 interceptions returned for touchdowns. First player in franchise history to do that, have 2 in a game. And last year, man, Gus Bradley came in as a defensive coordinator and, introduced his new scheme. Kenny Moore didn't necessarily fit in, and he still started, he still played. This wasn't necessarily his year last year. And a lot of Colts fans were trying to write him off. A lot of Colts fans were talking about he's not good anymore. And that happens in football, man. That happens a lot. But Kenny Moore is lightning in a bottle, as we call him. And he's showing this year that under Gus Bradley in the second year of the scheme, I mean, I saw, I damn near want to grab my phone and read the stats I saw, but it was like, first in uh, he's like first in 4 different categories and like second in another. Kenny Moore is. So shout out to Kenny Moore and being the bright spot of and the reason we won this game, because if it wasn't for 14 points from Kenny Moore, you know, we would have had a struggle in this game. And Gardner Minshew throwing for 127 yards and 1 touchdown is never going to cut it, even when the other team throws 3 interceptions. Jonathan Taylor, 18 carries, only was able to muster 47 yards, and all we had was field goal, Matt Gay, field goal, Matt Gay, 2 Kenny Moore interceptions for touchdowns. I mean, how do you expect this is versus like the worst team in the league, mind you? How do you expect to go into next week versus an elite? And I've been talking about it, an elite defense that New England has in Germany. Like this, it's a lot. It's going to be a lot next week, and Gardner Minshew is going to have his hands full trying to figure out how to get how to get the ball to his receivers.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be the typical Colts Patriots games that we're used to from the past, right? Definitely not going to be one of those legendary showdowns. Both teams are far from what we're used to, I will say, is the way I'll put it.
Yeah.
The 425 game that a lot of people were most excited for yesterday, Dallas and the Eagles, NFC East showdown, came down to a final drive, and the Eagles pulled it off again. They are the only 8-1 team in the NFL currently. June, do you blame this loss on Dallas, on Dak Prescott,
Nah, man. I think
or is
Dak
there something
Prescott.
deeper?
Nah, I think Dak Prescott had a great night. 374 yards, 3 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb and him have been cooking everybody for the last month. And 11, let's talk about CeeDee Lamb real quick. 11 catches on 16 targets for 191 yards. Wasn't able to get in the end zone. Would have loved to on that last possession, I bet, to win the game. But, the Eagles won the turnover battle, and CeeDee Lamb was the guy who fumbled. Dak Prescott had a great game. Um, he outdueled Jalen Hurts, and he was also sacked 5 times. So you got to just give credit to the you got to blame the loss on the person that deserves blame or the team that deserves blame, and you got to give credit to the winner and why they won. And Philly wasn't immaculate by any means all on offense. This was the first week in I think 7 weeks that AJ Brown was held under 100 yards. He still scored, managed to score, but held to 66 yards. Um, but yeah, I mean, when you're in a divisional battle like this in a great game, competitive, the turnover battle, and then 5 sacks is going to be tough to to win against. So shout out to the Eagles, man. They just keep finding a way to win a game. Dallas Goedert goes down, fractures
Mm,
his forearm. He'll probably miss
forearm,
4 to 6
yeah.
weeks or so. He went down with an injury around this time last year and was able to come back in their Super Bowl run and everything. So hopefully he recovers healthy and everything. But you got to give credit. I mean, Philly as a team as a whole understands how to win games and finish games, and that's exactly what they did. So, real
And
quick,
yeah.
yeah, no, if you got another one on the Eagles, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was gonna say Jalen Hurts doing whatever it takes. I mean, he said it himself. I'll do anything for the city. I'll do anything for this team.
You
I'll do
saw
anything
that,
for
bro?
my.
I like that. I felt that. I felt that.
And there was rumors of him last week not being 100%. This week not being 100%. We see him, go down, grimace, get up limping, and comes back out and continues to Jalen Hurts the situation. Like you said, figure it out by whatever it means, whatever it takes, by any means necessary. Got to
Yeah,
give it to the man. His heart is is something that I don't think we've witnessed a player that has this much heart and this much focus and dedication in a while. Honestly,
to his craft. Yeah,
it's remarkable to see. It's remarkable to see.
yeah. I mean, speaking of a player with heart and devotion to his city and effort, another NFC starting quarterback, man. Unfortunately, Daniel Jones. I didn't say talent necessarily or wins, but you got to give Daniel Jones a credit on what he brings. Toughness. He brings effort every game. He's a smart guy. Like, he's somebody you would want as a teammate, it seems. Um, he goes down and messes up his ACL, goes back in the game, and just realizes he's too hurt. So you got to also give credit there for like him trotting out on a torn ACL basically, and kind of still trying to play, knowing that this season is been lost and things like that. Man, like you can't take people like that for granted. So I hope Daniel Jones gets healthy. Um, it's crazy that once they start winning is when Daniel Jones goes out. Well, can't really say because Tyrod Taylor was the win, and then DeVito comes in and does this. So never mind on that point. DeVito, it's been a rough start, and it'll be a rough finish to this season, whether it'll be Tyrod or DeVito. But this Giants, team is going to have to figure things out and not quit. Honestly, you just want to see them play hard and play for each other, understanding, circumstances got us here, and we just have to figure things out. And next year will be brighter, hopefully. Uh, People calling for Dable's head. I don't think Dable's on a hot seat. I think he's working with what he has, and he's done a really good job so far. And could this year be better? 100%. But it got off to a bad start. That Dallas game, I think, set the tone for the season on Sunday night, and it's just been like a snowball effect from there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as far as the NFC East is concerned, we will not see the Eagles play this coming week. They are on the bye week. We also won't see the Chiefs play this coming week. They're on a bye week as well, and they will play each other in a Super Bowl rematch in a week and a half time, 2 weeks time. I believe in Kansas City. I could be wrong. I should fact check that, but
Okay.
that's going to be exciting. Super Bowl rematch. Someone told me today that the Chiefs barely won, didn't really dominate. We need Patrick Mahomes 100% healthy. So if we didn't need to use him in in Germany, trust that we're definitely going to need him for this Philly rematch that we're about to see because as the world's seen
Definitely.
so far, they're definitely a force to be reckoned with.
Thursday, watch Thursday. We'll talk about that one.
There it is. There it is. There it is. The AFC East, we alluded to it a little bit, man. It's getting spicy. The New York Jets, number 2 in the division at 4-3 behind the 6-3 Dolphins. They play tonight against the Chargers. It's about to kick off in a second. What do you think? Do they go 5-3, June, or does
I
Little
think
Hat
that defense.
and
I
and
think that
Gang pull it
defense.
off?
I think that defense is going to give trouble. But the Chargers can't lose this game, man. Chargers can't lose to Zach Wilson. I mean, quite frankly, Justin Herbert has to go off, and it shouldn't be a thing of can we outscore them? It should be can we score on this defense? And if you guys focused on that throughout this week, the game plan should be there, and the weapons you have them, the quarterback you have them, the coach you don't. So figure it out.
I think you're right, man. And if the Chargers do win tonight, they'd be a half game ahead of the Raiders, and they would move into the second spot in the AFC West, which I'm sure that they're aware of. Little Hat and Company. I'm just gonna ride with the Little Hat wave, man. This is such a good nickname. I don't know why I didn't agree with you a long time ago, bro. Yeah, man. They could be a
Nothing
half
Rex
game in front
Ryan.
of the Raiders. Yeah, they could be a half game in front of the Raiders. They would have one less win, but they would also have one less loss, and they would have the tiebreaker because they did beat the Raiders early on in the season. So they would move into second place with a half point lead. It, this considerably could be the Super Bowl for each of these teams at this point in the season. They need it that bad.
They
Like
need it. They need it. They need it.
it, it is not a game. It's not a joke. As far as predictions, I mean,
I got the
uh,
Chargers. I don't know
I guess we'll
why.
do.
I don't know why. I just can't. Like the Jets, you can't keep getting away with it. Like that's how I feel about this Zach Wilson shit. It's like, come on, guys, come on, get a grip, get a grip.
Oh man, you know what? I'm gonna go with the Jets just so we have a little friendly fire tonight. I'm gonna take the Jets in the close game, and I'll even give you a 17-15 game. Weird, ugly score. Weird and ugly
I think
score.
the Chargers put up 24 to
Mm.
13.
Mm. Okay, okay. I like that. I like that. And I think, like I said, I
Yeah,
think that is about to kick off momentarily. Next couple minutes
yeah,
on ABC. It's actually already kicked off. I'm sorry, I'm totally wrong.
nice.
Halfway through the first quarter, and the Chargers are up 7-0 with about 9 minutes
Well,
left.
look at that.
New York does have the ball on their own 28. Kind of a script, as we like to say as well. They're always in their own half of
There you go.
the field.
Hey, before we get out of here, I wanted to shout out to Jordan Love. He got a win this weekend. Played against a backup quarterback with the Rams, but still got the win. Green Bay had a season high rushing 184 yards. So a win is a win, and they'll take them as they can. And also Josh Dobbs going from the Cardinals, who got smoked this weekend versus the Browns 27-zip. You see the Josh Dobbs effect. He goes over to a Minnesota team who lost Kirk Cousins last week off a torn Achilles and had to go over his cadence with his offensive line pre-game so that they can understand the ball and the snap. He goes 20 for 30 in his debut with them, gets a win, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 carries for 66 yards, and a touchdown rushing. Give it to him.
Come on, man. Come on, man. We'll go over to the EPL really quick. I know I spoke about the Arsenal and Newcastle game, and that Newcastle was looking like they were going to upset Arsenal, and you know what happened? They gave Arsenal their first loss of the Premier League season. 1-0 score. Arsenal goes down. Crazy, crazy things going on, all right? But the other thing I wanted to mention was Man City moves back in the first place, and I'm sure that some listeners are like, they were in the first place. No, they were not. Tottenham Hotspur were in first place until their 4-1 loss to Chelsea today. And I know I've spoken about Chelsea recently, and they've been shit in the bed for lack of a better term, really. Middle of the table so far this season, not producing as they should be producing. They managed to beat the number one team in the league this afternoon, 4-1, which is crazy. My shout out of the week goes to my dog, Travis Kelsey, becoming the all time leader in receiving yards for the Kansas City Chiefs. Appreciate you. Everything you did for the organization, I've done for the organization, continue to do for the organization. Many more, buddy. Many more.
Yeah. Shout out to him. Shout out to Antonio Pierce, man. We talked about the Raiders locker room and joked about it at the intro, but he came in and you see the change in the locker room, and he gets his first win as a head coach against a team he won a Super Bowl with. And he's also from Compton, California, and he's, coaching the Raiders. It's got to be a dream come true. So shout out to him. As this episode ends, the Miami Heat are playing the Lakers and going into the half up 62-59. I am
Nice.
Julian. That is Small Town EP. This is the All Things Sports Podcast. We appreciate everybody tapping in, listening. Shout out to you. Like, share, subscribe, and enjoy the rest of your Monday night. We'll see you Thursday.
We'll see you.